That's it. And now we are gonna go and try and find Rin on campus, hoping that she didn't already go home. And, I guess we'll see how that goes. Rain is falling on my summer vacation like an uncountable number of small bad omens. Rain's not a bad omen. Rain is, symbolic of, new beginnings. Luckily I'm not superstitious, but the bad weather makes me downcast too. Well, if you were superstitious, you would know that the rain is good. It's been like this since morning, and there is no end in sight. An impenetrable gray mass of clouds shadows the sky as much as it shadows my mood. In a bout of defiance, I finish cleaning up this morning, but after that was done, I end up staring out the window in hope of the weather clearing. The incessant drumming of rainfall against the roof and the pavement is mesmerizing, a droning background noise to lose your mind into. ... This won't do. I have to get a move on. Should I pack now or later? I decide on the ladder and make my way outside, pausing briefly at Kenji's door to listen to the odd clunking sounds from the other side. I don't dare knock out of fear of finding out what he is doing. Yes, that is the correct decision. Braving the rain from under my trustworthy umbrella, I cross the space to the girls' dorm. Knocking on Rin's door yields no answer, but the door behind me opens instead. Emmy! Hisao, hi! Terrible weather, I even missed my morning jog. She frowns, but I would be glad if I was her. Emmy's morning jogs are anything but leisurely. I mean, she likes them. Some people get the relaxing out of exercising. Oh, hi, If you're looking for Rin, I don't think she's there. Have you seen her recently? Yeah, just this morning when I woke her up. The mention of waking up makes Emmy yawn like a cat and makes me feel really silly. Of course she has seen Rin. Emmy wakes her up and helps her get dressed on most mornings, even makes her lunchboxes every now and then. They're like sisters, even though they seem to have nothing in common. Sometimes sisters have nothing in common. I wonder which one is the elder sister. Probably Emmy, against all odds. She's really diligent, even though she gives the feeling of someone who would be a total airhead. Why does it feel odd that she is so dutiful under that cheery grin of hers? I guess we'll see in her route when that happens. She left for the gallery a few hours ago. Hey, are you listening? Maybe I'm making a funny face or something, since Emmy tilts her face quizzically, looking at me with her eyes round and inquisitive. Her innocent face seems to request my attention. Yeah, I'm listening. Can I ask you a question? Yeah, of course. She furrows her brow, licking her lips as if to prepare for something. Why do you care so much about Rin? I mean, you probably hang around her more than I do, and we even slept in the same bed sometimes until lately. After she banned you because you ravaged her hair? A shock of horror widens Emmy's eyes at least twofold, making them seem even more saucer-like than usual, while a healthy blush rises on her cheeks and ears. She told? Ugh, I'm gonna strangle that Rin or something other horrible. I hold back my laughter lest she direct her disdain at me. Emmy recuperates quickly from the embarrassment and seems to forgive Rin in the same instant, getting her focus back on me. Anyway, are you in love with her or something? Uh-oh. This really feels like an elder sister questioning a suitor. Emmy is kinda nosy, and not in a good, happy way, if there even is one to begin with. She'd make a good partner for Misha, to be honest. The horror. That's already your second question, so I don't think I have to answer. I try to conjure up a front made of pure crystallized cool and uninvolvement. I wonder whether I managed to fool even myself. Oh, look at that face. She's got your number, style. At least Emmy is waggling her eyebrows dangerously with a nasty smirk on her lips. Is that a yes? No, it's not a yes. Obviously unsatisfied at my refusal to answer her way too intimate question, she has enough sense to back off. Doesn't stop her from sticking out her tongue at me like a kid and giggling again. If that's your answer, I don't think I have to talk with you anymore. Wow. It's easy to see that she's not really angry. Besides, I have to go pack now. Mom will be worried if I miss my bus. See ya. Yeah, bye. Thanks for the tip, sis. She retreats back into her room, leaving me alone in the hallway. What's between me and Rin is none of her business, right? That's why I ended up not saying anything about our fight to Emmy. Rin must have not said anything either. I guess, even though they're friends, there are still things they don't talk about. Well, the thing is, if you don't want to talk about something, then you ain't gonna talk about it with no one. Why would you? So if Rin is at the gallery, I'd have to go all the way there. Now that I managed to get out of my room, I suppose it's not that much of a bother to go downtown. I could get a ticket, but the train back home will have to wait at least until tomorrow. No way I'm going to carry baggage to the train station in this rain, even if there's not that much of it. It seemed like it was coming down pretty hard, honestly. Yeah, what do you mean there's not that much of it? Rain makes all outlines seem very unstable, as if they were fading away. The townscape turns into a shapeless collection of various fuzzy tones of gray instead of distinct forms of buildings and cars. Those poor souls who are forced into the downpour try to make as much haste as they possibly can, pitying each other for the shared misery. I turn the final corner, but the 22nd corner, so to say, and immediately feel stupid for being amused by my own pun. The door beckons me with promise of warmth. The rainwater dripping from my umbrella makes interesting, almost artistic patterns on the floor. I'm not wet, apart from my shoes that leave small puddles in my wake, completing the rainwater artwork. Nomiya is here too, treading with Sai at the back of the gallery. Rin's nowhere to be seen, though. Maybe she's upstairs. There are no customers, though, which figures, considering the bucket loads of water dropping on the neck of anyone daring to brave the weather today. Welcome. Hello. Sorry to interrupt. Haha, good afternoon, Nakai. Come all the way here for a visit? No, I think it was just an impulse. I was around the neighborhood shopping and decided to stop by. Why are you lying? My reflexive reaction is a white lie, which surprises myself. Maybe I just don't want to say that I came specifically to see Rin, even though that much must be obvious. They know. They know. You can lie to yourself, but you can't lie to them. My, you chose a bad day for shopping. Would you like some tea to warm you up? Thank you, but I'm fine, really. I hate tea. The weather could be better, though. Rain on the first day of vacations is a bit depressing. Haha, well, I'm sure it'll get better. So optimistic, that Nomiya. Nomiya offers his hearty laughter, bordering on abrasive. Rain doesn't get you down, teacher? Well, I do prefer clear weather as well. I was actually leaving just now to meet someone, and I prefer not getting my jacket soaked. It's very expensive, not that I'm bragging. Got all this drip. Don't want it to get wet, you feel me? Don't want to get drip on the drip. But of course, I'm in a good mood. What do you think about the exhibition? It was wonderful, wasn't it? Yeah, it was very fancy. My unenthusiastic answer only spurs him to carry on, walking around the gallery while blabbering about the opening. He talks more and louder when he is moving. It's something I've noticed at the club meetings too. We got to talk with many good people and make valuable contacts. One of Tezuka's paintings even got sold to a collector from Osaka. I follow his eyes to an empty space in the wall. I can't even remember which painting was hanging on that spot. Well, it's gone now. Bye! It was lucky that she was alright despite that dizzy spell. She got a little quiet though, so I told her to rest well. Then again, she's always been pretty shy. Shy? Whatever, I just nod along with the teacher. Stop! Put your tongue back in your mouth, you freak. The reception was very positive in general. I might be able to get one of my friends to write a little article on a magazine to... Shinichi, you're making Mr. Takahashi wait. Sai remarks, making him stop in his tracks and checks his watch. Omiya frowns in displeasure at the interruption to his tirade. Oh, right. Yes, well, I'll be off then. We'll meet in September, Nakai. Bye. Wow, teacher really doesn't hold back when it comes to Rin's budding artist career. I guess it takes a lot to succeed, but I suppose his job would be easier if Rin was more cooperative. She's too incisive, even though she's doing just fine, like that dizzy spell from the night before. She just got freaked out or something, and I didn't do anything to help her. I mean, you got her outside, that was more than anyone else did, and I guess she got some water? I don't know, they told her to get water, but I sigh. It feels like the gap between me and Rin is only widening. She's going to become something great while I'm still feeling like I'm bogged down, despite promising myself to try and make something of my life. On top of that, we had that fight, and the longer we keep not talking, the harder wounds become to heal. If that even is what we want. I never found out what Rin felt, and now I'm not sure what I feel myself. I wish I could understand her, but Rin is not very open for interpretation. Not that she's hiding anything, she just seems to defy my attempts at making sense of what she's talking about on any given day. Something on your mind? I realize I've been spacing out in the middle of the gallery for who knows how long. Nothing special. I pretend to study the closest paintings to distract her. I've seen it before. The now all too familiar strokes of color twisting and melting into each other, seemingly randomly, still manage to feel like there is something happening behind the scenes, so to speak. Rin's style is so much like her, abstract, incomprehensible, colorful, mysterious. I wonder if to understand an artist, one must understand art. I may have a question. Oh? She looks up from the magazine she was idly leafing through, seemingly delighted at my display of unspecified interest. How do you interpret art? What do you mean? Her eyebrows rise high into questioning arcs as if the question was too complicated to even begin to answer without clarification. Sorry if I'm asking something stupid. I don't think I really understand art like the pros do. Oh, there's no trick to it. She waves my question away with a simple but efficient flick of her wrist. Whoopsh. Everyone interprets art as they will, and interpretation is as much in the eye of the beholder as in the intention of the creator. Pros have their own way because there is a thing called art theory. There are patterns in art just like in everything, and we assume that it's possible to draw some conclusion from observing those patterns. Her voice is like a teacher's, lecturing and adding emphasis on random words to keep the listeners on their toes. In the end, I suppose it's pretty meaningless. She moves to musing seemingly to herself, muttering loud enough for me to clearly hear. A good piece of art will make you feel something, and that's all there is to it. Feelings change, and they affect the art we create and the art we see. But I'll tell you a story. Oh, okay. So, I probably wrote it at the beginning somewhere, but the first part of this video, I accidentally streamed, so it's gonna be choppy. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. And then I had to take it off of Twitch. My quality is so poopy whenever I stream because my internet is so bad. Doesn't make any sense. Anyway, I am embarrassed. It me, the embarrassed one. Okay, I'll tell you a story. But do you have to? The last one was depressing. It's important. Listen. About 100 years ago, a little-known painter got news that his friend, a man called Casagamis, had committed suicide. This happened while he was away and hadn't seen his friend for a while. So obviously he must have felt even more conflicted than you normally would after hearing such a thing. For 4 years after that, our main character did nothing but monochromatic paintings because he was so deeply affected by the news. Whatever he did, he always kept returning to that same color until it let him out of its grasp. She takes a little pause to check whether I'm still following. I am, to an extent, so I give her the prompts that storytellers seem to live for. So? It's hard to continue from that, so as I can't seem to come up with a question she wants me to come up with. Like a half-baked Socrates, she thought she laid out all the tools for a revelation in front of me. Don't you see the point yet? Only her student proves to be too dense to get it. She looks discontent at my slowness. Picasso's Blue Period is one of the most lauded in the history of art, but who knows what he felt when he worked on those masterpieces? Sadness, longing, regret? Nobody can tell. If you now see one of his Blue Period paintings, you'd probably interpret it differently from before you knew about Picasso's friend Casagemas. Experiencing art is always personal, only interactive by chance or circumstances. There are a million explanations for any given piece of art, but it might be that none of them are what the creator intended. No man is an island, you know. I nod without understanding what the last remark meant. What she said made sense otherwise, except for one thing. If art is communication, like Rin said, but everyone is talking their own secret language, like Sai said, what can anyone ever hope to communicate? It seems so futile and pointless. It's more about the human condition, I think, and the concept of emotion rather than a specific interpretation. Art really is not a thing for me, which is why I am in love with an artist. It checks. Sai returns to her art magazine, and I made a round in the gallery trying to see what Rin can see in her own paintings. A soothing mood takes hold of the gallery surrounded by the rainstorm. The big windows make the transparent isolation feel more comfortable. A tinkle of the bell disrupts the tranquil mood. It's Rin! Rin pushes the door open with her shoulder and steps in. I'd almost forgotten that she was the reason why I came to the gallery in the first place. I think I'm ready. She pauses mid-sentence, noticing my presence. The needle-dropping silence lasts for exactly 1.5 seconds, not enough for either me or Sai to open our mouths, but enough for Rin to react. I'm going for a walk. Heading back outside with a reckless pace uncharacteristic of herself, Rin seems to forget that it's still raining. Without giving it any real thought, I grab my umbrella and hurry after her. I catch Rin around the corner, open the umbrella, and lift it above the two of us while still having to almost run to keep up with her. I don't think she wants to be near you. She doesn't protest me running after her, nor me giving her shelter against the rain, eventually slowing her pace down so I can match her without an immediate danger of overexerting myself. I relax from the rush, assessing the situation. The last time I held my umbrella to guard both of us against the rain, I didn't think too much about it. But now all the things that happened since then are gathering into a freezing cold ball around my stomach. Being close to her makes me uncomfortable, and I feel myself flustering slightly. It's hard to get words out of my mouth, as it feels suddenly very, very dry. Still, it's not like I can back off. Why do you keep running away? I don't want to talk to you. I want to talk to you. It hurts every time I do. Sometimes it can't be helped. I don't want to hurt. Fine, we don't have to talk. We'll just stand awkwardly next to each other. What should we do? Let's just keep walking. Just walking? Just walking. Okay. Yes. It's that thing again. Our footsteps go splish-splash. We was taking a bath, and the shallow puddles forming on the streets as we walk through the rainfall. Rin, now walking beside me in her unhurried and relaxed manner, doesn't seem to be even a bit bothered by the fact that she's getting wet, even though she needn't to. She is particularly out of the protective shelter of my umbrella despite it being more than big enough for the two of us. It's as if she doesn't even notice the rain drenching her shirt. Rin's demeanor always evokes mental images of meditative calm, even when she might be in inner turmoil. But I don't think that is meditation. That is just getting soaked in rain. I wish I could be more calm too. I've become too involved with Rin to understand my usual aloofness. To retain. It feels like I have become one of those people who fool themselves into thinking they are objective, only to find out that they are the worst kind of liars. You fool. Illusions to fool ourselves. What better way to make one feel like a good person? It might be better to lose that illusion. I'll be going back home for some time, so I thought I'd come see you before that. I could have thought of a better conversation opener, but Rin actively refusing to talk makes it hard. That's good. I might have thought that you'd have been kidnapped otherwise. You can't keep running away from everything. Not even from me trying to talk, seriously. I'm always serious. Also, I seem to be running very slowly right now. Maybe I should take lessons from Emmy. It's futile, like talking to a brick wall that randomly spouts sarcastic nonsense back at you. I don't think she's being sarcastic. Think of your exhibition opening. What if we had run away? Rin doesn't answer to that. She just keeps walking, or running slowly, escaping from me into her silence. She has a knack for being alone in company, I've noticed. We head down the street, then turn left, then 3 times right, then left again. It's like that night from some time ago. We keep choosing directions randomly because it doesn't matter where we are going. At that moment, all that matters is walking and the sound of raindrops drumming against the umbrella. Water flows down from the roofs of the buildings and into the storm drains and wide rivers. Even though I try to step over them, my feet are getting wet through my shoes. We keep walking in silence that just begs to be broken again. I'm sure I am the only one feeling like this, though. Why did you have the exhibition? Rin just shrugs sullenly and looks in the other direction. I give up at this point. It's pointless. What did she want to accomplish? What she said at the night of the opening made me feel that there was something special she wanted. It felt to me that Rin hoped for something unattainable. She set the bar high, and inside her own mind she failed, no matter how much people liked her works. It's understandable to lack realism, most people do, even if not quite on the extreme level Rin takes it to. But it's not a reason to live in your private world that accepts no visitors. You can't bend the world to fit your twisted, megalomaniac cosmology where everything works just like you want. That's a bit, I think that's, not quite what's going on here, Hisao. That's, very... I don't even know the word. It's not correct. That's what frustrates me the most in Rin. She wants the world to live by her rules, disregarding everything that conflicts with those irrelevant or unnecessary. I can't believe how anyone in Yomaku could not have the bare minimum perception to understand that the world can sometimes be very unfair. I'm sure she's not the only one who wishes some things were different, but we can at least grasp the facts as they are. I take a sideways glance at Rin, who is looking up at our dome-shaped cover. It is a poor replacement for a real sky in its monochrome bleakness. The rain just keeps falling. Just like the clouds today, Rin doesn't really give the feeling of wanting to be watched. She sulks in unison with the sky that she loves so. I shouldn't have come. Her presence only reminds me of how angry I got because of these exact same reasons, and how those reasons probably can't ever change. Even though I want to say I'm sorry, even though I don't want us to break apart, I can't bring myself to say either of those things. We keep measuring the rain-drenched streets Blah, blah, blah. One step at a time. Often when you walk with someone else, your steps become synchronized as if through some weird subconscious pact. I noticed that ours never do. Time passes and the strikes against the drum skin of our umbrella fades as the clouds above slowly disperse to reveal a cerulean blue. Eventually the rain yields enough for me to close the umbrella, shaking the excess water off before I do. While I wrestle with the mechanism, Rin stops so abruptly that I take 5 steps before realizing that she's not with me anymore. Stupid umbrella seems to be jammed. Hello? When I turn around, I find her staring at me with an impassive face. I wanted someone to say I understand how you feel. Wouldn't that be great? Is that an answer to the question from before? I'm not sure. Yeah, but why is it so important? Because otherwise, I don't know if I can bear this. I was still in the middle of folding my umbrella, so I just answered something to get the conversation going, but what she says now freezes my blood. If someone says a joke and laughs, you laugh with them, right? Because a joy doubled is a joy tripled, right? If someone is hurt and sad, you comfort and hug them, right? Because that way... She pauses, her mouth still halfway open, then remembers to close it. A gloom sets on her face and simultaneously on my heart. I don't know why the right words never come out. I don't know why I can laugh only when I make myself. I don't know why everything stays only inside me, even when it feels like I'm going to burst. Her flat, expressionless face does not waver even when she says that. Her usual steady voice becomes only slightly quieter than normal. But who would ever want to feel like that? Ren looks at me and I imagine the sadness reflecting from her eyes, whether it really is there or not. I don't want to feel like that. We stay silent for a little while after that. Ren, because she said all she has to say at once. I, because I have no clue how to process what she just said. I don't understand what Rin is saying, or I do, but I don't want to. For the first time, both of these things happen, and it has to be simultaneously. The irony is not lost on me. I think everyone wants to be understood. That's universal. But that is impossible, not only for me, but for anyone. Sai said so too. You affect others and are affected by them, but in the end, you see everything the way only you do. All people are alone. We just use each other to alleviate that loneliness. I wonder why I put it like that. It just felt that what Sai said to me rang true, as if I had always thought like that without knowing it. It feels like she articulated my thoughts in clear, simple words in that stupid story about Picasso. Ren drops her head like a withering flower, letting her bangs fall in front of her eyes so that I can't see them. Why do you say that when you made me feel otherwise? It's unfair. The shaky voice that says those words does not belong to Ren. I really thought you could be different, that I wouldn't have to be alone. It's a bitter voice of disappointment spoken through clenched teeth and a quivering chest. I'm sorry. If you are, why do you say something unfair like that? Her demanding tone invokes no particular feeling in me apart from sadness that has been there since yesterday evening. She doesn't intimidate me at all, not anymore. Rin is not a prodigal art genius, nor an unpredictable idiot savant who could tear the logic lobe of my brain into shreds whenever she opened her mouth. She's just a girl that I thought I loved, a loved one who wanted to be my friend, a friend whom I let down. I say that because saying otherwise would feel like lying. Why? Simple questions are the hardest ones. I have to close my eyes so I can focus my thoughts enough to answer her. I'm no artist. I can never be on the same level with you. There's a world only you can see, and to be part of it, I would have to become you. That's something I can't do, no matter how much you wish me to. Rin takes in my explanation without batting an eyelash. I'm not a real artist either. I just paint because it makes me feel like I can really feel something. She holds her breath for a while before releasing it in a long sigh-like flow. That's why I'll do it. I have decided I'll do it. Even if Hisao says that, then that's what I will do. Do what? Ren's starting a little show that she has regressed into talking to herself again. But I'm glad I can snap her back even now. Teachers and Sai have talked with someone who is a very important person. I got a scholarship for a big art school in Tokyo. He said I could transfer there and start after the summer is over if I wanted to. I don't really get why. Hold on, what? Why didn't you tell? I just did. You're the first one I told because I decided it just now. She keeps her cool, looking only mildly surprised at my shocked interjection. It's ridiculous how easily she can say something so life-changing. I can't believe it. After what happened in February, I have had enough change for this year. Even if things are going badly right now, I don't want everything to change. But what about Yamaku? Don't you want to graduate with everyone? My plea evokes no emotion. Everyone who? Emmy? Me? Everyone? I feel my pulse rising unnervingly and my breathing becomes fast and shallow. I don't want this to happen. Their life is not mine. You just said that everyone is alone. I didn't mean it like that. You always said that you'd have to seize the day and start living your life. I have to live mine too. Rin is twisting my words to justify running away again. It makes me angry. Is she running away? It sounds like she's just trying to live her life and pursue a career. I don't think that's running away. It's a really hard decision. It's not... Okay. Her ease, finality, and seriousness in announcing this is unacceptable. Okay, Hisao. At this point, this is a personal issue. As if changing your life is something you can do on a moment's whim. No. I mean, she's not. You're the one who's freaking out. She's been doing art since she was like 2.5. This isn't that crazy of a decision for her. How can you say that? Why don't you even try to belong? The desperate accusation has no effect. It feels like I am once again out of weapons that I can reach through to her no matter what I try. Rin is so frustratingly absolute in her own judgment that it might make me hate her if I didn't love her, even though I don't know which way I'm feeling anymore. Maybe I am that kind of person. The kind that belongs only to herself. I won't accept that. Her nonchalant eyes do not seem to care whether I accept her decision or not, as they shouldn't, because at this point this is a you problem. The pause lets me cool down to find my sensibilities. While I do, the parting rain clouds reveal a setting sun that still has time to shine its last few warming rays before calling it a day. A mosaic of light and shadow spreads on the walls of the buildings, on the streets, and the fence circling a park on the other side of the street. Rin's shadow is long enough to reach my feet. It's like one of those Western movies with two cowboys staring at each other down, ready to sling their guns at each other. The one who loses his nerve will eat lead. I realize I would have the disadvantage because the sun is behind me. Rin is stinging my eyes. Do you hate me? She draws first, and I have no counter. I don't know. Did I lose? Even if I did, what would it matter? I scramble for words that could salvage this. I find none. You are my friend. I promised you that. I am not the kind of guy who forgets about promises. I think that the most important thing, we could try to... Don't say it. Predicting what I was going to say, Rin throws herself into my arms, pressing her body against mine. I guess I don't... is it me? Am I the dumb one? I don't know what he was gonna say. I feel her rising to her tiptoes to match my height and snuggle closer. The scent of her hair is that of rain and paint thinner. Her body feels as cold as always. Her breathing against my neck is as hot as always. It's funny how all those feel so familiar, even though Rin, as a whole, does not. Are you sure you can't hate me? Rin whispers into my ear so close I can feel the movements of her lips against my earlobe. It's teasing, taunting. If this was some other kind of situation, I'm sure it would tickle tantalizingly and I would giggle even though I'm a guy. 'Cause guys don't giggle. That's what I've heard. It would be easier if you did. Dunno, it's pretty hard when you're hugging me like that. Penis joke. I wonder if it's because of my sullen voice, but she takes a step back, looking wistfully at her short arms. I wish she hadn't done that. I can't hug anyone who's all. I'm a bad person like that. Not having arms doesn't make you a bad person. Ooh. That's why I have to go. Because I can't hug anyone. She disarms me completely with 3 simple sentences, rendering me unable to argue anymore. And since I can't, Rin is free to continue as she wills, shifting her weight from one foot to the other before she does. I will learn to hug people on my own, in my own way. I'm sure I can become a real artist. But if I do, I might not be able to be me anymore. The hint of a smile on her lips is a betrayal, a false sign of self-confidence in a future that even Rin can't foresee. I want to interpret it as a sign of hope, but I know better. Rin just keeps smiling that awkward forced smile of hers. That's why. Please forget about me, and I will forget about you too. I'm sure that... She chokes in the middle of saying something I would never come to hear. I don't think I'd wanted to hear it anyway. This is not fair. Rin is not joking. Rin is always serious, but I can't accept it. I can't. Forget about you? How could I ever? That's what I'd like to say, but I don't know how I would continue. I can't come up with anything good to say, so I have to challenge her. How can you say such a thing? Rin raises her eyes to meet mine. They are serious and deep, a perfect image of the uncharted territory I always thought they were. Even now I can't read her emotions from those unblinking jade irises that never could reflect what they saw. It's easy. After all, I'm good at forgetting things. Her unfairness is choking my throat, but I manage to utter the question burning my mind. So, is this it? Is this goodbye? Rin kept looking at me gently, without answering my question. From her eyes I could see that she didn't even need to say anything. There were no more words for us. Oh, bye! Okay. She turned around and walked off without looking back. All around me the world kept changing little by little, but I was left standing there. The sun dropped below the horizon, casting long and thin shadows across the street. In the waning light, Rin distancing back seemed to be like from a faraway dream. The gap between us grew slowly. The ripples on the puddles she stepped on expanded until they met the limits of their tiny existence and disappeared without a trace. Her words stayed frozen deep inside my heart. What's this skip? What's this skip? What? What? Hold on. Was that? What? Was that the good end or the bad end? I think I I think it I don't know. I don't know. I think it was the most appropriate option, honestly. He saw I if this is I'm gonna believe in my heart that this is the good end, only because, well, no, this can't be the good end because my only reasoning is because there wasn't a sex scene. That's terrible. Um, so I guess I got the bad end. Oh wow. Okay. Well, I'm bad at the game. Um. All right. It might. I didn't. I guess I didn't expect it to end there. But where else would it have gone? So I looked it up. I got the neutral end. So not not I didn't do horribly, but I clearly made a mistake somewhere. Um, I will make another video where I kind of cheat and get some of the other options. Uh, Unfortunately, when I do that, I'm afraid that they will have a little less impact because of uh, the context of the entirety of the story, if that makes sense. Um, so I honestly even like the neutral end. I think the neutral end is super appropriate for the entirety of their um, relationship, honestly. Throughout the whole thing, um, Hisao goes and tries to understand her, and at every turn he's one step forward and two steps back. Um, and that's really what it is. He's struggling to understand this girl, and it's really just somewhat of a lost cause as far as like a romantic relationship goes, because he doesn't understand art, he doesn't understand her, and anytime he tries, he gets frustrated and or complacent. Even in even in the endings, or in the situations where he thinks they're getting closer, it's it read more to me as a as complacency, because he didn't try to understand her. He was just like, she's speaking nonsense again, in kind of an almost condescending way, and he just kind of like brushes it off. It's not really a real attempt to understand her, and he couldn't understand her need for space, and in his attempt to close the distance between them, he kind of, fucks it up, which I think is incredibly appropriate. And I don't know what the good ending is, but I feel like this is, and maybe it was some of my choices. I will admit that I obviously made some incorrect choice along the way, but that aside, I can't imagine that it would have been that drastically different, him gaining her understanding, and especially in that in their scene that they had, their scene. uh I'm not I'm just gonna speak of it as if you know what's happening in that scene. Their initial encounter was very one-sided. It was very symbolic of their relationship. She's casually asking him to do something, and as a friend, even if she has romantic interest in Hisao, she understands, that there's really there's a disconnect there, and they both seem to understand it, and it seems to hurt Hisao more outwardly than it does Rin. I'm sure she's upset, but she doesn't know how to express her emotions to others. She feels them, and she just wants someone that can understand her without her having to explain it, which is a bit, that's a hard one, especially for Rin, who is an artist, and she's had to do everything different her whole life, and everything about her journey is a little melancholic, you know? Her art a is good. She's a great artist, but it always kind of feels like no one's interested in her art as much as they are the fact that she makes something with her feet. Like, she's more of a attraction than a quote real artist, as she says. She says she'll try to become a real artist, and she doesn't know why she does things. And again, back to that scene, she's just like, forget about it. Don't worry about it. We can't talk about it. And he pushes the issue. He absolutely just like, it's just something you either get or you don't. And he doesn't get it, and instead of trying to come to her with understanding and warmth and support, he comes at her with frustration and complacency, which is absolutely not the correct way to do it. And even when he woke up and it was a rainy day, that's symbolism in and of itself, to new beginnings. And he didn't, at least in the ending I got, I will go back and see the other one, he didn't have that's exactly what happened. He ruined, he refused to accept her decision and made himself a priority and expected himself to be a priority in her life above something that she's been passionate about and been working at for years and years. And instead of respecting those boundaries, it just comes back to, he would call her selfish and doesn't see anything outside of herself, but really it it seemed that he was the one that was not seeing anything outside of himself. He didn't have the capacity to understand her point of view. He only understood his own point of view, and every complaint that he had about her could be said about him. I mean, maybe he didn't understand her, which obviously there's like the distance there, and any attempt that he made at closing the distance was abrasive, even to the point of, he took her seriously in that moment when he saw her laying on the floor. He viewed her as being pitiful, and maybe it was because, she was sitting there in her mission to self-destruct, but he went right along with it. Instead of trying to like understand what she was going through, he in a way kind of just enabled that mindset. And honestly, he kind of just indulged his own desires and wants versus really trying to see what she wanted or what she needed. And he may have asked her, but he didn't have the insight to really know what she needed was. And the whole thing with Ren's route and the distance is, it is a tightrope. It is a thin line between understanding and comforting and overstepping. And Hisao overstepped and overstepped and overstepped and overstepped. Even when he was asked to do something, I mean, he did it, but it wasn't really for her benefit as much as it was for his own self-soothing, for the most part. There are some things that he did pretty altruistically, and I think in his ending, he struggles with the concept of altruism and self-satisfaction, and that is honestly a big theme that happens throughout, and I'm interested to see what happens in the good end, because I think in this neutral end, he just becomes complacent instead of trying to, what's the word? In the neutral end, he kind of just gives up and goes into his own self-soothing. He indulges that part of himself. He indulges the part of himself that is egocentric and non-altruistic, and you see examples of both of those personalities of him kind of fighting each other throughout the route. So it's really interesting, and I assume, again, like I fucked up somewhere. I would be interested if the good end is him, rather than maybe even trying to understand Rin, just giving her space, like realizing that distance is the thing that can actually keep them together. Sometimes people need space, and trying to force yourself upon their alone time, even in a romantic sense, is not healthy. You cannot rely on people to that extent. It is okay to have distance. And in this, again, like her whole thing is distance. He's like, I want to be close to her, I want to be close to her, I want to be close to her, and in his pursuit, he kind of destroyed it, or I guess in the other endings. I don't know, I haven't seen them yet, but if I were to theorize, I would say that in the other endings, the good ending, he realizes the importance of space and distance, and rather than trying to selfishly be like, I need to understand you, not in a way that is complacent, but in a way that is like, sometimes I don't have to understand you, I just have to understand what you're feeling. Like the why doesn't matter as much as the what, if that makes sense. So if someone's upset, it doesn't always matter why, it just matters that you comfort them. And if someone, and for Hisao, his whole thing was, why? I don't understand. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? And emotions aren't always one, easy to explain. They're not always easy to feel, and they are super difficult to get other people to understand them, especially if, in this situation, they come from super different mindsets. So I think I'm just kind of rambling, but I think it's really cool, and I assume in the bad ending he delves deeper into that self-satisfying kind of thing, where he's just like, you know what, I don't even want to understand you, fuck you. So the idea of like the idea of distance in good and neutral and bad, I think, is what will be explored here. And I think that the neutral ending is still good. It's bittersweet. It's a little sad. Like, you always root for people getting together in these kind of things. But I think in this situation, they weren't meant for each other. And I'm glad that they were mature enough to sit there and have a conversation. And it's a hard conversation to make, but again, they still experienced that kind of like distance, you know. They got together, they were like, hey, let's talk. They had a talk, they decided whether they decided or not, the conclusion was they don't mesh right, and they both go on their own ways, assumedly. you know, it's a little sad, it doesn't say, but Rin probably becomes an artist and goes forward with her career, and that's totally fine. And Hisao figures out what college he's going to. But yeah, I was caught off guard by that. I honestly thought it was going to be longer. That last act, because, you know, penultimate. But hopefully some of that made some kind of sense. Again, with these concepts of emotion and the human condition, it's I didn't plan it out, so they're a little jarbled, but you're welcome to let me know in the comments, and I will go through and do the other endings to see if my hypothesis is correct. You can you're probably safe to comment on this video when the other when it comes out, because I'm sure by then I would have actually beaten the other two endings, so there won't be any spoilers. But just in case, you know, I might wait to read them if I don't finish. And I will see you guys in the next one.